information. So if you would take a look at that, it will give you a lot of information about what I'm going to be presenting. Light pollution is an insidious problem. And as I told you before, the city and county are creating new lighting ordinances. I turned off the... Did I catch? Oh, I must have hit it. We consider you all a key partner in enacting lighting ordinances that are valid and relevant. There are very well-researched resources available. We do not have to reinvent the wheel. And one of the many opportunities is to partner with you to create a healthier environment. This is from the World Atlas of Light Sky Brightness. It is an image from thousands of satellites in the United States, and it starts in the late 50s. We moved to the middle 70s and finally to 2025. So you can see the creep of light pollution that has occurred across the country. This is a representation of a Bortle scale. The scale was invented by a physicist, and it goes from a 1 to a 9. The 1 is a area that is the darkest sky possible. A 9 is the brightest sky that you can measure. A 9 would be Las Vegas. When I went on the computer and put my cursor in the middle of Louisville, it was a 9. When I put it on the middle of Frankfurt, it was a 6.3, and you can see the chart on the left and the progression over the years. So we definitely have light pollution. And what is it? It's excess of inappropriate outdoor light that is too bright, too white, unshielded, or misaimed, and on all night. I call light pollution the DDT of the 60s. We kill from 600,000 to 1 billion birds a year in window collisions. Insects are nocturnal, about 1/3 of them, and they die from predators and exhaustion from light pollution. 60% of animals are nocturnal, and their circadian rhythms are disrupted. Responsible lighting is what we're after, to restore our natural circadian rhythm, to benefit our health, to save animals, birds, plants, and trees. We want to save money as well. 30% of all outdoor lighting is wasted, and wasted lights cost the U.S. $3.3 billion a year. It is estimated that building lighting costs are 17 to 30% of their cost. 21 million tons of carbon dioxide are emitted from the burning of fossil fuels, and in order to recapture that, we need to plant 875 billion mature trees. In the United States right now, there are currently 300,000 trees. The health effects. ALAN is artificial light at night. The American Medical Association led the way by alerting the world to the dangers of excess artificial light at night in 2012 in a report, Light Pollution, Adverse Effects. And then a second report in 2016, I'm sorry. So the adverse effects, it is in this piece of literature that I have given you, and I think it's worth looking at. There's a wonderful bibliography in the back if you want to do more research on the health consequences. Glare from unshielded light compromises road safety. It suppresses melatonin production. Melatonin is a hormone that's produced by the pineal gland, and as the day starts to wane and it starts to become dark, we secrete melatonin that makes us sleepy. So when we have excess light, that doesn't occur. Good quality sleep is critical for brain health. But also, the suppression of melatonin and the lack of sleep exacerbates susceptibility to many illnesses. This is documented in thousands of studies. The hormonal cancers are breast, prostate, pancreas, and thyroid cancers. This is a chart from Dark Sky International, and I think it's very telling. 3,000 Kelvin is a warm light. That's what you all use in your new lighting that you have from the American Electric Lighting Company. All the way down to 2,000 Kelvin, which is the yellowish orange color. Dark Sky International recommends 2,200 Kelvin for street lighting, and that's what the light that is emitted by the sodium vapor lights that you see on the old Lawrenceburg Road and that are in the alley in the back of our house on Shelby Street. So these are some resources from Dark Sky International, and they have all types of recommendations. They have policies, and they have lighting and lighting companies that have been vetted that offer the type of products that are ideal to stop the light pollution. This is what we don't want, and that is blue light. Those are the short, high-energy wavelengths. This increases the incidence of myopia. The most polluted light cities in the world are in Asia, and when they have done studies on Asian teenagers, 80% of the teenagers are myopic. I'm a myopic, and I can tell you that at the age of 25, I had a retinal detachment. I haven't had macular degeneration yet, but I had early cataracts and had both replaced, the first one in my 50s. This is the most fun part, at least for me, because I'm going to show you pictures of Frankfort and Franklin County at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they were taken by Scott Hankla, one of our board members back there. So this is what we call sky glow. This was taken from Gene Birch's backyard. The rest are Scott's pictures. This is the transportation building. It is lit up 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. On the left is the Franklin County Board of Health. The sign is what's called an EMS, Electronic Message Center, and it flashes 24 hours a day with messages that are frankly pretty hard to read. On the right is the corner of 2nd and Capitol Avenue. Broadway at 2 a.m. You notice all the people. These globes are a big problem because they emit light all over. Of course, the right is the Arsenal, and on the upper right, that is not the moon, that's a globe. On the left is Western Hills High School. They don't have an electronic message center. That's a light box, so it doesn't change. On the right is Collins Elementary School. Pretty lit up. On the left is Leonard Wood Drive. On the right is 127. Behind that is Staples. They turn their lights out at night, as do Aldi's on the other side of 127. About 3.5 years ago, Aldi's International mandated that Aldi's all over the world turn out their lights at night to save money. On the left is where we are, the Frankfort Plant Board, and across the street, your neighbor Commonwealth Credit Union. You can see the difference in the Kelvin temperatures of the colors. A school, and downtown, another building that's lit with an electronic message center. I like this slide because 21 states have light pollution laws, but if you look at it, it is across the board with both blue and red states. We've got Florida, Texas, Wyoming, among other states that you might consider blue. So it's not a political issue, it's a health issue. And when cities have polled residents about what kind of light they prefer, across the board, they like the warmer lights. And that makes sense. No one likes those white glary lights coming at them. And they're different type of car lights now. It's easy to pick at. You go places and you'll start noticing now lighting and the colors and what appeals to you. And so it makes sense that citizens want the warmer colors. And so the recommendation from Dark Sky International is 2,200 phosphor converted amber LEDs, or some filtered LEDs when possible, and 0% blue light. These are some cities that have switched to environmental friendly LED lighting: Washington, D.C., Pittsburgh, and you can read the others. So our goal is to partner with you by supporting Dark Sky International and friendly light pollution laws, and that meet the standards so we all can be healthier. Thank you.
Does anyone, Anna Marie had contacted us this afternoon and wanted to know if she could make a few comments, and she had wanted to call in on Zoom as David, is she?
David's saying no, she's
Still not on?
she's not on.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Barr? And I guess one question I may just ask is, where are the city and county at on their, and is their ordinance going to adopt that recommendation, the 2,200, or do you know what they're going to do?
We don't know. They haven't started yet. They are
Okay.
on the cusp of starting.
Okay.
Well, I just want to say thank you, first of all, for bringing this information. I thought I knew a lot about it, or at least I just knew generally, you know, it wasn't a good thing, too much light pollution. And actually, where I lived in Florida, Lake Worth, Florida, was on your list. So I guess there was a reason why I knew. So one, I appreciate the information. We're kind of the epicenter of lighting. I would love for staff to sort of give us a report on what, if there was a change, or how could we address this, like what would that look like exactly? Like what would that look like? Because I have no idea what, you know,
What the cost?
technically and the logistics would be to do something like this.
What we use now.
Yeah, Gary, what we use now, what's the cost, what would be the cost to replace, and what impact would that have on power usage and so forth?
Probably travel down through nine.
Yeah.
Stop and
I mean, I was
we
wondering if we
don't
could,
have to do it right now.
no, but if we could get that for the next meeting, maybe?
Yeah.
Well, I think one thing that's significant to know is when cities in Louisville, Lexington, Oldham County, Nicholasville have just enacted new ordinances, it isn't, it's only for new lighting.
Okay,
It
or replacement.
doesn't- Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, yeah, Travis, if you could have that for the next meeting?
But ideally, a goal would be to sequentially change out the streetlights as you can. Because we, of course, recognize that's an expense.
Right.
But hopefully, it'll save money over
Sure.
the long run.
Okay.
Are there any plans to do some general educating of our citizens? I knew that there was a push where I used to live to cut down on the outdoor lighting. It's, you know, it looks beautiful and shines up your, you know, the side of your house and makes everything look good, but that they were encouraging to not use that or put it on a timer. I just think this information would be really important for homeowners because they can play a huge part in this.
Yeah, and I just met with the chief of police, Derek Napier, on last Thursday, and he concurred that more light doesn't mean less crime. He said in Frankfurt, they don't have a lot of break-ins. He calls them soft targets, things that are easy to steal, that's easy to access. Homes that are broken into during the day when people are gone, not at night. And we advocate motion sensors. Motion sensors are very effective in that.
Jason? Steve? Jason?
I have a little anecdotal story here. In the 70s, when we had the energy crisis, there was a competition they put out to all the state government saying if any employee could figure out a way to save money, they would get a like $2,000
Right.
bonus. My dad actually won that, and his suggestion was turn off the lights at night. To all the
Especially-
buildings.
I worked with your dad.
Yeah.
And it was especially in the CHR building.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then I think for years they did that. And then I have noticed over the last decade, I'm in energy and lighting, and that's what I do as a consultant, that all the state office buildings are just lit up like Christmas trees. And do we, not that we have to address it now, but do we know why the state leaves all the lights on? Because some buildings, like the transportation building, are every single light's on. But that's hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax dollars.
In my office at LRC, they
Yeah.
remodeled
Okay.
our suite in the annex, and my lights and our lights and ours are on a timer.
Okay.
If we're gone for more than 15 minutes and there's no motion,
Okay.
they're automatically turned off.
I
So,
know, like,
and I think that's-
Human Resources is lit up at night and a few others.
And
but-
CHR used to have where the lights would go off and the heating would go off
Yeah.
and the cooling
Yeah.
at certain times if there wasn't any activity or motion
Yeah.
within. But
Right.
I don't know if any of those systems are.
Well, they did all the ESOs about 15 years ago, and they had controls and everything. But anyhow, it's a very important topic, and thank you for bringing it up. And
Yeah.
I really like how you guys are weaving all the benefits together, not just animal health, but also human health and development health and stuff like that. So I think it's a really great campaign.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Steve, John.
well, we look forward to, as the city and county go about their business, we're ready to help them, our staff's ready to help them with anything they need in terms of what we have now or what our inventory is,
And Travis's report might help them take a look at what
Yeah.
they're considering,
what
so
they're considering.
they can
Because,
see what the
a lot
impact
of
is.
times, the lights on Broadway, we had nothing to,
Right.
those were chosen by the city.
Mhm.
So, it's not really our doing. I mean, we do the street lights
Right.
sometimes, the off the poles, but, a lot of the decorative lighting that's been done in various places has not been things that we've put up, so.
And
Thanks
I do
Joe, for
think-
coming.
I do think there's things that I know when our street light out at the end of the alley by my driveway got changed out, and it was just literally just shining straight into my bedroom.
Yeah.
Y'all came and
They did
painted the
same with
back
ours.
of it.
Yeah.
So I think there's some things even,
They did the same thing in our house, because we had one right across the street that was blowing into a bedroom, and they shaded it and, directed the light down, so yeah, there are things we can do.
Steve?
So what do you recommend for my neighborhood? We all have our own light pole. It's on our bill, each one. There's no street lights. So are there going to be recommendations for? And I think everyone has that LED.
Yes, that halogen, yeah.
So that's another place, because a lot of these neighborhoods do not have street lights. They have their own individual. Granted, it's uniform. It's the same, but they have their own.
I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to take, Scott, would you answer that?
I would say if you can use more amber colored lights, that would be one thing you could do instead of, most of these are too bright, amber. Changing out fixtures is kind of expensive.
Yeah.
But changing the light bulb to something more amber.
And I would assume the city ordinances are going to address that.
Yeah.
Individual neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Right? We'll find out.
Well, Ms. Barr, thank you so much
Yeah,
for coming,
thank
and we appreciate you coming and spending some time with us tonight. Thank you. Next is item 3.1, financial statements for the month ending June 30th and July 31st. Mr. Denton.
Thank you, Yvonne, board members. So before you tonight, we have two different months. Financial statements for the year ending June 30, 2025. That's the end of our fiscal year, just concluded fiscal year 25. And then also for July of 2026, the start of our 26 fiscal year. For each of those, you'll find the statement of net position, our cash and investment schedule, our debt schedule, statement of revenue, expenses, and change in net position, cash flows, check registers for our two most used checking accounts, and also some detailed cash transactions in there. So that's for both of the months. I'm going to focus mainly on the year ending June 30, 2025. So the financials you have before you tonight will be the financials that the auditor has in their hand and are auditing. So we're currently in the middle of that process right now, and we'll be bringing that audit report sometime October, November. So to get started here on page 17, statement of net position for as of June 30th, 2025, a little snapshot where the company sat with assets, liabilities, net position. You'll notice there on line 75, to end the year, total assets were $243.4 million. You'll see that's up $5.3 million or 2.2%. One of the main reasons for that is the investments back in the company in property, plant, and equipment. The Frankfurt Plant Board invested $18.2 million last year in capital assets in infrastructure, which is a significant number. That is the large driver of the increase in assets year over year. Looking at liabilities, line 155.
David, could you just give an example real quick for the people watching? They're thinking 18 million. What's an example of what an investment in capital assets would be?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the largest for the year was investment back into the next band fiber network.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's seen the commercials, the billboards, the carts at Kroger. This was investment back into our system, into the community to deliver fiber internet. You know, we're offering up to 5 gig speeds now, superior service. So that's an example. We had
So
some
we're
other
talking
things.
poles and cable.
We're talking,
Yeah.
yes, physical assets. We've talked some about the Midway Water Extension. That was one, for example. Isolation valves at the water treatment plant that you've talked about. So it's just a variety of things, substation improvements. So it's all necessary assets to keep electric, water, and telecom running to the homes and businesses every day. So that's pretty impressive when you look at putting that much back in. Looking at liabilities, line 155, you'll see ended the year at $95.3 million. That's down $8.9 million or 8.5%. So we have, we've paid debt down. One of the largest reasons for the decrease in the total liabilities is the Kentucky Public Pension Authority pension liability that we had to book. When you take the assets represented for the pension liability, that's lines 60, 65, and 70, and subtract it from the liabilities related to the pension on 135 through 145, you'll notice that our liability decreased by $4.7 million. So the Government Accounting Standards Board came out years ago and said that if you're a member of a public pension, you must book that pension, the proportion of your pension expense on your balance sheet. In 2018, we did that for the pension, and 2015 for the pension, and 2018 for the other post-employment benefits. So ever since then, we've had this on there. That is a large driver of the decrease in liability. To get that liability down on the balance sheet, we have to make an entry over on our statement of revenue expense and change in net position that we'll cover here in a minute. So this is a non-cash journal entry that we make each June. So you're talking about a $4.7 million swing down on investments, I should say on the liability, that we did have to book as a decrease in expenses on the other side. So when you take your assets minus liability, you'll see our net position at the end of the year was right at $148 million, bringing your liabilities and net position equaling your assets at $243.4 million.
Steve?
Just a question. The pension liability is subject to change. I mean, in next year, the year beyond, it could change, it could go back up.
Yes, sir.
And the only reason I pointed out is I'm glad it's down, but I don't want anyone to get the idea that it will stay there. It can also go back up next year.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And to follow up on what Steve said, we don't find this number out. We didn't find this number out for last year that we're talking about until late in the year, correct?
Correct. The actual report from KPPA was dated March 30th, but it's later in April before we even know the
Right.
number.
So there's only 2 or 3 months left not even 2 months left in the fiscal year by the time we find out what this number is. Now, we guess at the number in the budget.
Right.
But, that number may be off, and hence the, down 4 million, it's because of what KPPA's directive is.
Yes, sir. We budgeted $2 million increase in liabilities, actually,
Right.
and it swung back the other way.
Right.
Katrina and I have talked, and we mentioned in the budget session of just not, no longer booking an assumption. It just swings too far.
When I might add, having in a prior lifetime dealt with this, and just for the people watching it's an accounting entry.
Yes.
Because what the new rule was, for years, public agencies weren't booking the liability on pensions.
Right.
And so they started doing that, or what the cost was. So we pay our regular contribution in based on a percent of payroll, we pay that. In addition, the the Governmental Accounting Standard Board rules was you have to book, assuming the pensions fund closed down.
Right.
No new employees, no new contributions, you just brought it to a dead stop, paid out all your liability, and you were done. And that is a number you then have to carry. Well, that's never gonna happen. Everybody in the government is never gonna be just let go on one day and no more contributions into the system and pay everything out and shut everything down. But they basically decide to do that to let the public know this is what the potential impact on pensions are to the bottom line of public agencies, which is what drives these numbers. And it's a number that's not gonna, you don't wanna say it can't happen, but it's, and this is not just for county employment, it's for state employment, teacher retirement. Everybody's gotta carry that potential liability that if the system was brought to a dead stop, this is what it would cost to pay out all the benefits for everybody who's got some vested in the system. So like David said, they don't know it because it depends on investments during the year and actuarial calculations, and there's all kinds of things that go in. So it's a number, there's no way to guess it. I mean, try to get as close as you can, but and like I said, it's to give the public some assurance that the agencies know how much their potential liability is. Is that fair, David?
That you hit it just right. That's exactly what's going on there. And it does make the financials look, if you don't understand it, and our audit has a very long note, you can go out and look at our last audit report that explains it, and it's clear as mud, for sure.
And if the market next year tanked and liabilities went up and actuarials changed and everything, it could swing the other way. I mean, you just never know.
So I kind of hit the balance sheet there. Let's talk for a moment about financial performance for the year. Looking at page 22, Statement of Revenues, Expenses, and Change in Net Position. This is the company-wide detail, looking at the operating, other revenue, and all your other expenses for the year. Overall, when you look at year-over-year performance, revenue was up about 1%, and then on the expense side, we were down 1%. So everything worked out pretty well. We could always, you always would like to see better, but overall, the company's holding its own and investing back in our infrastructure and staying on the different strategic missions we have. So the one thing we just covered about the pensions, you'll notice I don't ever really talk about month to month. We have a month and year-to-date column. If you look at that first column on page 22, line 30 and line 65, you'll notice it shows a negative, a $3.8 million negative adjustment to employee benefits. And that is the entry we had to make in this revenue expense and change in net position statement to make the balance sheet work. So essentially, the bottom line is $4.7 million higher than it would otherwise be. So we had to decrease pension expense by those GASB 6875 entries. So overall, I think we can feel good about where we are as a company. We have a lot in front of us when it comes to projects. July, we're off and running with a new budget year, the budget you all approved. There's really not a whole lot to talk about for the first month of the year, but I'd be glad to answer any questions you have.
Any questions for David? And when will we see the auditors?
So we're in the middle of field work. We've been landing around October, no later than November for the actually audit report, but you all will be getting some independent correspondence with them.
Right.
There's some fraud questionnaires and
Right.
different interviews they'll be doing with you all. You'll be hearing from over the next couple of months.
And just so you're aware, they call it SAS 99, but so you're aware, you may get a letter, you may not from the auditors, but anybody has the right. They pick people at random throughout the organization at different levels, different duties. But anybody has the right, if you've got something that you think that you don't want to talk about here, that you don't feel comfortable, but you think something needs to be looked at or a problem, you're free to call the auditor, say, look, I'd sure feel better if you looked at this. I'd feel better if you looked at some of these transactions, because they'll pick transactions at random. But if you say, I want to look at things in this area, can you pull some more? They'll do that. I mean, they won't tell anybody you called them. We won't know, but you're free to do that. So, feel free to use the process, because that's the way it's designed.
So we're off and running a new year, and at any time there's anything you want to talk about related to audit or the financials, feel free to give us a call.
And you'll love the SAS 99 questionnaire if you get one. Like, are you aware of any irregularities or improprieties? And you can say, Well, I'm not sure, but could I guess? I mean, you know, but you could do, if you feel, like I said, if you think that's something you don't think looks right, report it. I mean, it needs, if you feel like it needs to be looked at, so. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if it's in order, I'd make a motion to accept the financials for both June 30th, 2025, month ending June 30th, 2025, and July 31st, 2025.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Financials are accepted. Thank you, Mr. Dennis.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Anybody signed up for public comment?
No, sir.
Any web comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Departmental reports, Mr. General Manager.
Yes. First is a public information. Casey can do.
Hello, Ms. Lindsay.
Good afternoon. We've had a lot of activity in the marketing and communications department. Gary Harvey and I attended the NCTC's Independent Show last week. Harvey spoke on a panel discussing how to stay competitive in video by offering a streaming platform for cable. And he discussed what we're doing with Nextband Stream. The session was the most well-attended breakout session with standing room only. He did a great job, and you should be proud of how he represents FPB to other independent providers nationwide. We also had the opportunity to speak with other providers who have completed the upgrade conversion from HFC to a fiber network, and we learned more about the opportunity to bring a new product to our customers, and we'll have more on that in the coming months. We are in need of a community volunteer for the Cable Advisory Committee, and that is a group, they meet quarterly. Harvey heads up that group of community volunteers who are cable subscribers who can make recommendations on our content, cable content. So if you know of anyone interested, please have them contact Harvey or then call 352-4372 to get more info. The clubhouse has had 8 rentals since July 1st and 10 booked so far through December 31st. Since July, Cable 10 has covered 3 summer concerts, 9 Franklin County Fair pageants, 1 Franklin County Fair Talent Showcase, 2 Frankfurt Heritage Lecture Series, 1 Farm City Field Day, 1 Architectural Review Board Meeting, 1 Flood Relief Town Hall, 3 City Commission meetings, 3 Fiscal Court meetings, 3 Planning Commission meetings, 3 episodes of Snack Chat, 20 episodes of Around 10, and 1 FPB meeting. The crew has produced 7 commercials for local businesses since July, and 1 ad to promote the My FPB app. We're getting ready to start Game of the Week this Friday with the football game opener covering FHS versus Paris, and we'll also have a cameraman at Western Hills for live cut-ins. Any questions?
If I could go back to the one, and I know you had said something out earlier, the situation on the cable advisory. I know we're facing a situation where we've got a couple members whose terms are ending, and we're gonna have to have a discussion probably, I guess, next time, whether we wanna change the rules and let people serve a longer term, if we can't get additional people to serve. And certainly people serving now are doing a great job, but currently we have term limits on them. But it's an important function, and I know you all do a number of things, and you think you're expanding, looking at other ways to try to get people interested, but it's like everything else. It doesn't take a lot of time, but somebody needs to do it who's interested in that, and so if people want to volunteer, it's important. So.
It's very important, yes, thank you.
Okay.
Next is NOG. David is going to do that.
So the NOC report for July is on page 171 of your board packet. It's kind of the standard information you're used to seeing. We had 757 locates over 4 different utilities, electric, water. You've got your coax and fiber as well, so 4 different to locate. And then they did take a significant amount of calls and dispatch duties for the month. So I know we have extending an offer to a new locator. Haven't yet to see if they've accepted, and have some dispatch interviews next week to get fully staffed. So.
All right, next is the customer service. April.
Good evening. You can find the customer service reports page 173 to 177. On 173, you'll see that customer service assisted 7,012 customers. 3,838 were calls. 1,571 walk-ins, and then 1,519 were cashiers. If you look on page 174, we do give you data just for previous years in July. So it's just interesting to look at this and see that the things that we are putting out there for self-service are helping. Last year at this time, we had about 9,000 customers that we assisted. And the previous year, I think it was like 9,500. So we are down to 7,000. The wait times, I know in June, when I spoke to you all in June, I did let you know that we were probably going to go through a little bit of a tough time with wait times because we had a customer service CSR that was moving to another department, and then we are trying to fill 2 positions, and we have someone on family medical leave. So we were over the 2-minute mark. However, if you take out those peak days, we're under 2 minutes. I know last month we had a really great month. We were almost fully staffed. We had 9 CSRs. We typically fully staffed for us is 10. But then, of course, we've had those people moving and that kind of thing. So that did affect our wait times. We'll probably have another month or 2 where they will be over the 2-minute mark. However, we continue to work on that. But we're working on about half of our staff on any given day, just because we're trying to hire. So we do have a new hire coming on Monday, and then we've offered someone a position. So we should be fully staffed soon. And then you'll see there at the bottom of 173, our Google reviews. We had 7 compliments and then 1 service issue inquiry. I am happy to report that we finally made it to a 3.4. Every point that we get on our stars is great because we have over 700 reviews, so it takes a lot more. I think we need about 51 to get to 3.5. So we're trying to get there by the end of the year. But when you look at 2 years ago, we started the Google reviews really pushing and asking customers. We were at a 1.6. So in 2 years, we've managed to more than double that star review. So we're pretty proud of that. And again, we'll continue to work on that. But if you all have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. All right. Thank you all.
Next is telecommunications. Adam.
Good evening. The telecom report is on page 179 of your board packet with customer numbers. Everything looks good there. Page 180, 181, we had 6 outages for the month. 3 of those were blown fuses related to the storms. 2 of them were bad line splits, probably a power surge, and then we had a relatively large tree following us out at Schweitzer. I don't know if y'all seen the pictures on social media, but it was a good sized tree that blocked the road out there. And we were out several days there. We ended up having to run it on a generator. It took out the node power supply and everything for that area, but we got them back on. I think it was about 36 hours, and then we ran on generator for several days. As of today, I think we still need 36 easements. So we're still working on that. I think last month it was a little over 50, so we are making progress. Of course, we're building in all the areas so far, trying to get the grants done. So that's
Any word on the state on where they are in that latest round of grants?
the last conversation that I had, they were, because everybody had to redo the paperwork,
Right.
and so we went through that process. And I think now they're just getting all those applicants back in and basically starting over. So I don't see us hearing nothing before the end of the year personally. So.
John?
Adam, how did it was Saturday night or Sunday night and Monday night that we did the
river
the river crossing where we took the stuff off the
Yes, sir. They
Singing Bridge.
Yes, sir. So originally we were going to try to do that in one night, and it was really a lot to try to get done. I think
Right.
it was a
I think
144 and a 288 fiber that we built a new river crossing higher out of the river there behind the Singing Bridge.
Right.
So yeah, we went in Sunday into Monday night and did half, and then last night we finished up. So they got finished about 3 o'clock this morning. Everything
Good.
went good. We're on. We still have our damaged cables down there because we're waiting on Windstream and AT&T to
Right.
fix their cables. Because if we take ours out, it might do damage to them. So,
Right.
But that
Sure.
went off really well. So
Good, great.
glad you reminded me.
And that was well planned that you minimized any possible outages because you all worked all during the night
Night.
to get that done, so it wasn't during prime time.
Yeah, we started at 12 a.m. I think 12 a.m. to 4 the first night, and then 12 a.m. to
Yeah.
3 something last night.
Because I like
This
to miss
morning.
Ed Sullivan's Rock and Roll Classics,
You need to go to sleep. That's all there is to it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Electric Department Travis.
Good evening, everyone. Scott had a personal matter to attend to, so I'm going to fill in for him on the department report, which for electric begins on page 183 of your board package. Our SAIDI number for the month of July was 69.076. Had 440 outages. On page 184, you'll see our top 10 outages. I'll just kind of touch on a couple of the larger ones there. The first one listed was a pretty large outage. We had a tree on a transmission line, which we had to obviously remove to get everything restored. Most of those kind of flowing down from there are kind of typical summer issues, lots of trees growing, occasional pop-up storms. So pretty routine stuff, but again, just wanted to call those kind of first couple out there. Page 185 are top causes for outages, and you'll see once again trees were our biggest source of outages for the month of July.
When you missed it, Ms. Barr, who was here earlier,
Uh-huh.
told Kathy and I that when she first moved here, she was going to get a generator.
Right.
And someone told her she didn't need a generator because we were so reliable, and they were correct.
Well, we certainly tried, don't
Yeah.
we?
So I thought that was a nice comment from her.
Yeah, no, definitely appreciate it. Yeah, for sure. So again,
No
it's just
warranties implied, though.
That's right.
No
That's right.
warranties implied.
no more questions. I can just roll right into AMI and SEPA.
Sure.
Okay, sure. AMI, 21,702 electric installs. That's 98.5%. 14,986 water installs at 87%. So again, light right at the end of the tunnel. We're getting closer every day. So everything kind of business as usual there. Nothing really, no new major developments there. For your SEPA report, that will begin on page 187 of the board package. Our SEPA bill for the month of June, $111,394. Again, those late months, extra energy at the end of the year, so sometimes we do see an uptick in the SEPA bill at the very end of the fiscal year. Our net payment for SEPA was $342,865 for a profit to the board of $231,471, which brings us for the year through June of 2025 benefit to the board of $853,024. So having a really good year for SEPA again. So I think everything. David can correct me, but I think we're tracking well on SEPA. Happy to answer any questions.
All right. Questions? Mr. General Manager?
Yes, amount of QIEA, I really don't have anything particular report, but certainly I'm happy to answer your question or your comments. Okay. Next one is a safety report.
Good evening. Safety reports on pages 191 and 192. We didn't have any vehicle accidents for the month of July, but we did have one OSHA recordable. Employee hurt his foot walking up a hill, and he was replaced on restricted duty, so that makes it recordable. This time last year, we had 8 to 9. I can't remember the number, but it was 8 or 9 that we had at this point last year. So this year, it's only been 2. So very good year for us. We are about to start the AD program. We signed our agreement with Centos to do that. So they'll be coming around inspecting all of our ADs. We're getting 3 new ones as well. One's going to the clubhouse, and then 2 other vehicles, I believe. We'll get 1. And then we'll get some pediatric pads if we're here in the clubhouse, just in case. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next is the water distribution. Bruce.
Good evening, everybody. Start on page 193. You will see that we had 8 new water services installed. Page 194, we had 3 water main breaks. Page 195, it reports 1 water outage. That's actually a typo. It's supposed to be 2 water outages. So that's a little note we found there. 2 outages for last month. Some just work going on in the department. The meter department worked approximately 673 service orders, changed out 232 water meters. System maintenance completed the flushing program for the year with 237 flushed hydrants. And then the construction and service department worked together, laid about 1,840 foot of water main. Most of that was out 421. And then we had a 32-year employee retire August 1st, Danny Wiley, so his knowledge is greatly going to be missed within the meter department. And then yesterday we had our new hire start, CJ Brulls. So we're getting him trained and throwing him into the ditches. So, but other than that, that's pretty much all I have.
Good. Any questions? Yep. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Next is a water treatment plant, Brendan Powell.
Good evening, everyone. For the month of July, the water treatment plant treated 290,290,000 gallons of water for an average of 8.97 billion gallons a day, for average 2,750 cubic feet per second for an average of 1.78 billion gallons a day. And our filter valve project, all 49 valves have been replaced. The electricians are wiring those up now, and that last filter is set to be put in service on Monday. So wrapping that up after a change order too. So,
any questions? Hey, thank you, sir. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. General Manager? Okay. Under action items, first item is item 6.1. Is we have an employee who has filed a grievance. I think everybody has that in front of them and has seen it. And with board's permission, I'd like to invite the employee up to make any statements, anything that she'd like to present to us. So is Ms. McDonald here?
No, the employee is not able to attend this evening.
Okay, does she want it deferred to another meeting?
No,
Or,
I told her we can continue.
so she wants us to go on and consider it
Yes,
tonight and not, she doesn't want to wait and make a statement to the board or whatever?
correct.
Okay. Okay, so I think everybody has it in front of them.
Michelle, I mean, does she
yeah.
know that we can wait? I mean, I just want to make sure she really is waiving her opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't you take the microphone, Michelle?
Initially, she had expressed that she was nervous about, I guess, addressing the board. So I just let her know it was her decision if she wanted to attend or not, and she sent me an email today, said that she wouldn't be able to attend.
Does that, to follow up on what Catherine said, you think she fully understood by not being able to attend meant that we would proceed on and not defer to another meeting?
Yes, because again, when I had sent her the time, she had asked if she didn't show up, would you still discuss the matter? And I said yes.
Okay.
So if you want, we can defer and I can follow up with her.
Would you prefer to meet with like two of us individually?
Well, I think at this point, we, under our own rules, I think we're now at the
The
point
board,
that
yeah.
she's appealed to Gary, Gary rendered a decision, and the next step is the full board. So I think, at this point, I think we've got to act as a board. Now, we could defer it as a board, we could act as a board, but I think at this point, we have, is that correct, Hans?
Yes.
Yes, sir. My understanding is that the matter was submitted to the board and ready for a decision.
And this is based on our own written procedures, that this is like our final step of appeal within the agency, is that correct?
Yes, sir. It's submitted to the board at this point. It's been through the, up the chain, for
Right.
lack of a better term, and it lies with the board, and the board has the discretion to do you can consider it, defer it, whatever the board's pleasure is.
And to make sure I understand the process, at this point, obviously, if the employee was here, they could make their statement, then we could ask them any questions. And at this point, we kind of set, I guess, as a jury, for lack of a better term, much more informal than that, obviously.
Yes, formal.
But at this point, we have her grievance and what she has submitted and what the agency's response were. And we've, gotten additional information, just some just some information on the whole process and that. So I guess at this point, we could do one of I guess, three options. We could rule in the employee's favor, we could affirm the general manager's decision, or we could hold the matter in abeyance until another time. So I guess at this point,
Yes, sir.
it'd be up to any board member to make a motion.
I wasn't gonna make a motion. I do feel uncomfortable in deciding this without kind of hearing, and quite frankly, we talked about this in my mind. I've talked about this several weeks ago, so I'm not sure how freely we can talk about the particulars, in open
Well,
meeting.
according to Hans's, what I understand, since it's not an appointment, what are the three criteria?
Yes, sir. The exception is appointment, discipline, or discharge are the only options that are available for a closed session. It does not encompass just general personnel matters.
Then I would prefer to defer to the next meeting. Then I know I'm coming in here. I know I was coming in here this time, but I thought it was on here.
And I guess the only question I would have with that is, the employee has kind of indicated that they do not want to appear at the board meeting.
I think that was, I agree with you that that's what the outward appearance looks like.
Right, but I
But-
think we need to send her, I think we need to send word back to that employee that if she has the ability to come to our next meeting, and if she doesn't, we will be making a decision at that meeting if she does not come.
Okay.
I want to make doubly sure she understands what her rights are. I'd feel more comfortable with that.
So is your motion, Steve, to defer and to advise the
Just what
employee?
John just said.
Yeah,
and advise the
to
employee-
To defer and advise the employee that we will be making a decision at the next meeting, and she has the right to appear at that meeting, make any statements she wants to make.
Right, and if she elects not to, that's fine too, but she has,
Yeah.
make sure she
has that
understands
right.
she has that right.
She understands that we will take action on this grievance at our next meeting.
Okay. We have that motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Michelle, if you could make sure,
Yes.
get with Hans and craft that notice and make sure the employee's aware of what her rights are and that we want to afford her every opportunity.
Okay.
Can
Okay.
I
Thank
ask a
you.
question?
Yes, ma'am.
Hans, would it, I'm trying to think if there is any options we could offer her, such as, appearing by Zoom or just, audio, to maybe reduce, some
Anxiety or. yeah.
anxiety about it?
We could certainly let her appear by Zoom, couldn't we?
I'm thinking maybe it would have to be noticed as a video.
Sure.
I'm just trying to think the open right. It would be the board's decision about how to conduct it. If you have any option you like. I'm just trying to think of how to fit it in with the open meetings stuff that you would have.
Right.
But,
Or if she wanted to submit a tape
It
statement.
wouldn't be different if somebody else
Yeah,
was
yeah, you're right,
testifying
yeah.
by
Yeah.
Zoom.
That's
None
what
of
I
the
was-
board members are appearing
Right.
by Zoom.
That's what I was, yeah. That's
So
right.
if we have someone coming to testify by Zoom, we don't need a special.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Notice.
you're right. Yes, sir. That's right. That's right. You don't need a video.
Okay.
Wouldn't think you
Yeah,
need a
that's,
video.
I'm fine
Yeah,
with that.
I mean,
If she,
I
if
opt
she
for
feels more
that
comfortable
with
that way.
clients sometimes,
Yeah.
when it's more comfortable for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever the board's.
So
Sure.
preference-
can we
preference
offer
would be.
that to her as an option as well? I mean,
Yes.
I don't want her to feel pressured either way, but at least she might have.
Or if she wanted to
another-
submit, stop me before I fall off the ledge here.
Oh,
Or
you're
if she
fine.
wanted
No,
to
you're
just,
fine.
if she wanted to submit a tape of a video statement, we can play
I
it.
think we need to, I think we need to.
I just
think
don't,
you're
if she didn't
right.
feel
If
comfortable
she wants to
questioning or,
come-
yeah.
If she wants to come, any way she wants to come,
Yeah.
but I don't want a video, I don't want to, I think if she's gonna
Yeah.
come, I don't like the idea of a video
Okay,
statement.
I just didn't know if she didn't feel comfortable answering questions or,
Well, I think she's had the opportunity to submit information.
Right.
Her coming in whatever fashion and us being able to ask back is different.
It's a different thing, absolutely.
see,
First, did we pass the motion, my short-term memory?
Yes, we did,
Yes,
we
yes.
did.
Question about the process, though. How do we, as a board, discuss this situation if we can't do it in closed session? We really, and I don't want to do it right here, but, it's like we've all been individually seeking the information about this issue and not being able to, you know.
I mean, it's,
I
the
think we
important thing-
discuss it like we discuss anything else.
Yeah, it's
I
based
mean,
on the record and any other testimony she offers during the meeting, it's,
And it doesn't fall into an exception where
Nope.
it can
No,
be
I
closed.
agree. I
mean, it's a
understand. I just-
public,
Yeah.
it's subject matter appropriate for public hearing.
it's really not any different than if you go to the state and the personnel board. Once you pass the personnel board, which is an open process, then you go to your next option is Franklin Circuit, and that's open and
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Okay, Michelle, if you and Hans would get that letter to the employee and
Yes, sir.
and make sure she's aware of what her options are and ask her just to advise us.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is city solar agreement. You have a draft letter in front of you, and we had talked about this maybe 2 months ago, and this week, Jason and Gary and Travis got together and put this together. And basically, well, Jason, why don't you give a real quick summary of what it does?
Okay, great. Well, as you guys know, the city a few years ago passed a resolution to go as green as possible with city operations and also the larger community. And in doing so, they engaged InRail, but they also engaged us to see everything we can do. And as part of that, we greenlit the community solar project, which we have one of 4 phases done.
First phase is done of up to 4, yes.
Up to 4.
Over right here.
But in addition to that, we were able to receive a federal grant and tax credits as a nonprofit to be able to build roughly a 1 megawatt solar system behind our building. And with this letter is, as our partner and sort of we work with the city and we are kind of part of the city. We are trying to figure out how to allow the benefits of the green power and any other benefits of value kind of be, go on to the city as our partner and aiding them with their large goals.
So I think there's several advantages. One, it allows the city to help meet their goals. It allows them the opportunity now to save some on their utility costs, and in the future, the savings should increase. It allows us to take the opportunity, the solar, and put it to the city as a partner, and for us to dedicate that resource that we have here on at our facility, and provide that directly, and to operate in part some of their city services and use green energy. So.
Yep.
And it does not cause any adverse impact or any cost increase to any other customers. And it takes advantage of what we've been able to accomplish here, at FPB.
Yep. And I want to make it clear that, Travis has run the numbers. There's some numbers in this, but we would be working with the city to really nail the numbers down in the actual memorandum of agreement or whatever we end up doing with them. But it is rate neutral to the rest of the community.
Mm-hmm.
We would be paying back the non-incentivized part of solar from the value of the solar, and then anything kind of above that, that's value we can pass on to the city. So.
And the letter basically says we would send an elite delegation of Gary, Jason, and Travis to meet with the city officials and flesh out an agreement, which it should not be a hugely complex agreement, and to get an agreement and then bring it back that we can act on formally and vote on, and that the city can vote on. And my understanding, I think, Jason, is you've had some preliminary discussions, and the city's excited about this, and it's just there's no downside to doing it.
Well, and I think the key, looking at some of the numbers that are important, so basically delivered will provide 15 to 20% of the city's annual energy needs.
All right. Yep.
That's almost as high as 1/5 of all their power needs for the city operations could be greened by this project. So that's a huge step in their 2030 goals, I think. So we're
And I think
happy
it's
as a
important
partner to provide
point out that Gary and have put in this letter is that overall our whole portfolios we're close to 19% renewable for our whole portfolio for the Frankfurt Plant Board, which is pretty impressive. In fact, it's really impressive. So.
Yep. Yeah. So I guess we're asking for a vote for us
to authorize to send this letter to the city. And I'd like to also ask if everybody feels comfortable. It's drafted here for me to sign, but if everybody wants, we could do all 5 of us on the letter send it to the city showing that we're fully supportive of this proposal. If that's okay with everyone.
It's fine either way, it doesn't matter. You-
Well, then I
We've
make a-
authorized you to speak for us for a long time.
Well, then I guess I make a motion that we adopt this letter as is with the understanding that we will be working with the city to negotiate an actual
The actual
contractor
rate.
agreement
Right.
that we'll be obviously bringing back for review and final approval. So,
Yeah.
But this
I'll
is
second
exciting.
that, I'll second that motion.
We have a motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Travis, and thank you. I know you burned a lot of midnight oil on this, so thank you.
Sure, yeah, we know, appreciate the help drafting it, and, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Next is item 6.3, consider approval. Yes.
yes, oh, I mean, it's the same 6.3. I just want to introduce our consultant.
Okay.
Jack Ernestine, they are coming from Atlanta. The firm they work for actually is a long time resource planning for municipal. Even recently, they done a very good job of Owensboro prepare their future power supply. So I'm so glad we have such a good, record in serve community work with us, and hopefully we can have a very successful story too. But that's mainly I just want to say I appreciate they are coming.
And we're going to have it's a fairly short presentation from GDS, and what I want to assure everybody at this point is we've talked about it the last several months, and what this basically is authorizing to put an RFP or request for proposal on the street, because as everyone in the community knows, we'll be changing power suppliers in 2029, and this is the first step in that process, and it's a very broad RFP that gives us the ability to get as many different proposals as possible from as many different vendors to take a look to see what makes sense, to see what the possibility is, and what looks good. And at the end of this process, if we see something that looks good, we may want to take the option to sit down and negotiate in more detail, or we may want to say we need to start and do a different RFP, but want to assure everybody in the community this RFP and this process is not awarding a contract to anyone. We're not picking a power supplier. We're looking for as broad as possible on renewables, on other types of power, that we want to look and we want to see what the market is out there. And like I said, Owensboro just went through a successful process, and GDS helped lead them through it, and they ended up with MISO, Gary.
Yes.
And they got a favorable thing. And I actually saw one of their people not too long ago and asked if we could just run a giant orange extension cord from Owensboro. Because they came out, they did very well in their process. So I think there's a lot of opportunity out there, but this process is going to drag on for a while. But nobody in the community should get excited and say the plant board's putting an RFP out there and they're about ready to pick a new power supplier and we didn't know anything about it. This basically is the first step in reaching out basically as broad as we can to say, we're looking, what can you do for us? Travis?
Yep, thank you. And just, I'll add one note here before we hand it over to Jack and Ernesto. I will be very brief. We are asking for action on this item. On one piece in particular, we are asking the board to approve a competitive negotiation procedure as part of the RFP process. As many of you are, of course, well aware, that's a long-standing state statute, nothing new there. It's just not in FPB procurement policy. So we're asking the board to adopt that for this RFP in particular, not a broad change to the policy.
And we talked about this last month, that as Travis said, this is in state law. State agencies can use it, we can use it, and what the difference is you, in state procurement, you have competitive sealed bidding, which is what this normally would be. You have competitive negotiation, which allows you to solicit proposals, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Hans, but allows you to solicit proposals, and then it gives you the option that say you get 6 proposals, and say 3 look very good. It gives you the ability to sit down with those 3, have more detailed discussions about their proposal, what options, what can be done. At the end of that, you may decide one of those really looks good, or you may decide we just got to start all over. But it gives you the option not to go with best bidder, not to go with just, it gives you the ability to sit down, have more detailed discussions with not just your top, which you might call bidder, but more than one who have submitted proposals that you think might be of value, to talk in more detail to find out what they can do for you. Is that fair, Hans?
Yes, sir.
But like I said, it is not new law. It's been in the state's procurement code for decades. and state agencies use it frequently.
Yes, it's state agencies and then there's a parallel,
Mhm.
same kind of thing for local
Right.
agencies, and that's what's referenced
Right.
in the board package there, so that's fair statement.
Okay, yeah, well, without further ado, I'll hand it over to Jack and Ernesto from GDS and let them kind of step through. Obviously, we've been working on this RFP for quite some time, so they'll kind of explain the process, and, you know, we'll lay out a timeline going forward. If it's
And I think we
supported.
want to add, the RFP, once it's out there, is a public record. Anybody can see the RFP. It's not a secret document. So, I mean, it's open from that standpoint that we'll be looking at proposals, but everybody can see what we're asking and what information we're trying to get.
Great, yeah. I'll hand it over to you all. David is in the back room there. If you'll just tell him to scroll down when you're ready, he'll pilot for you. On this.
Okay. Okay.
You okay?
Now, we promise to keep it under 45 minutes.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. We have worked here regionally with several utilities, and so excited to continue this working relationship. We've worked with Gary, Travis, and Hans here as of late on the RFP document. We're pretty close to having a draft for a broader consumption feedback cycle, and we'll stare at some of the timeline associated with that in a minute here. Next slide. Okay, so as a reminder, you know, generally speaking, the volume of load, we wanted to bring that back to this group's attention. We're looking at roughly 130 megawatts plus reserves potentially. So we're trying to nail down exactly the target that we'd like to go out and procure upon. The numbers that are illustrated here on the slide associate that sort of target, the 130 plus 15% reserves, but nets SEPA hydro, which is the resource that you will be taking with you after exiting KYMEA. That's the current projected outlook for the resource mix. So that's what we illustrate there. On an energy volume basis, we're talking about 680 gigawatt hours for the year net of that hydro facility, net of that hydro purchase. And so just broadly speaking, that's the volume that we'll be looking to procure upon. And we'll talk about the preference for the types of products that we'll state. But of course, as you mentioned, it'll be a broad solicitation, trying to uncover if there are any unique opportunities that we can sort of mix and match potentially with suppliers. Now, I know there has been a focus on renewables. We just heard the update on the city solar. And so there's very much an interest in uncovering some of the pricing associated with different levels of renewable penetration within the city's needs, the utilities needs. And so we wanted to illustrate what those targets are roughly in this first draft. And of course, we'll be receiving feedback prior to publication. But certain thresholds sort of stood out in the conversation, and those were the ones illustrated here. 100% of the city load, roughly 12 gigawatt hours as per the NREL report that we saw. We're confirming all of this, creating a load forecast for this forward-looking period, et cetera. But roughly these are the numbers. If we target 30, 50, and 100% renewable targets, those equate to gigawatt hour volumes listed there, 200, 340, and the 680. Now, the reason we kept it broad and focus on the energy volume is we don't know what we're going to uncover. Some suppliers may come in with different solutions to help us meet these potential target loads. And depending on what resources you bring to bear, whether it's solar, battery storage, et cetera, the volumes of those resources could change. So we don't want to prescribe that right off the bat. And so that's sort of why we're taking this approach to pushing out those volumes that we showed there. Any questions?
Real quick, regionally, how are renewable prices doing right now? I know there's some wind up in Indiana and up in Ohio. I mean, are we able to, how are the prices for that in general?
Yeah, as you can imagine, Certainly, the last few months, developers have been scrambling to understand how their supply chain and the pricing associated with that is going to change.
Tariffs, ITC, credits, all of those things are kind of up in the air at the moment.
Yeah, we're running several renewable solicitations right now. We're working through an 1,100 megawatt solicitation in Georgia for the co-ops down there. We've been talking with a number of suppliers, and certainly we've heard some of the difficulties with pinning down exact pricing. And so compared to a few years ago, the price outlook has moved upwards. We're just trying to see how far.
Is there an advantage to MISO versus PJM, or is it kind of?
All suppliers are generally struggling with the same issues, and depending on the supplier, they may have some opportunities to provide on the pricing, depending on how they may have safe harbored equipment over this time period, and just how that volume looks compared to when certain things go into effect with potential legislation. So we're just, I think this procurement will help uncover some of those price projections as part of it. You'll see in the RFP outline of products that we're pushing this out there as an optional sort of set of products that we'd like to see incorporated from folks. And certainly with some of the communications we have with suppliers, we'd like to let them know that more information about the pricing and the plethora potentially of these types of products being intermixed would be helpful. And
so is it more of an RFI that you're doing? It's more of request for information rather than actual full proposals?
It's an RFP from which, if we get what we like, we will negotiate as they
Do we have to go with the RFP? Do we have to go with one vendor, or if we find one vendor who has a blend of stuff we like and another vendor, we can put it together?
The RFP allows for, we'll talk about that later, but the RFP allows for a mix.
Awesome.
And with regard to PJM and MISO, there's some differences there.
Yeah.
The transmission situation between here and there is probably overarching compared to the differences between PJM and MISO earlier prices.
Is this similar to the process Owensboro used?
Yes. So the Owensboro process was a multi-year process. We went through an integrated resource plan. We pushed forward on a request for proposals, which the articles that have been made public summarize that we were focused on joining MISO. And so all of the products, at least as part of that RFP process that certainly rose to the top, were all sourced from MISO, and that's the path that they're definitely taking. Okay, next slide. Okay, so just generally, and I think you hit upon this concept just prior to the slide, but the RFP, the way that we're broadly approaching this is that we would like to see a mix of products. So the concept here is, you could go the full requirements route, and I think that's the preference. Work with a supplier partner that can sort of manage the delivery of that, and someone you can work with going forward here on out, 2029 and on out. And so at the end of sort of a selection process that involves a full requirements provider, you'd likely be working with a provider. You'd have some limited flexibility to perhaps decrease some of the requirements that you buy under that contract. They're going to structure a contract that sets some parameters plus or minus a certain load amount. And you're supposed to stay within the bandwidth. If you go above that with abnormal load growth, there could be some provisions that are triggered as part of the contract.
As well as some potential for local generation if that was something being pursued.
And
we want to leave a little bit of room for that. But
there's been a lot of talk at the city to try to put in themselves 20 or 30 megawatts they did the NRL reports and stuff. But I know with the KYMEA right now, we are limited to a percentage that we could generate inside the community. With these full requirement contracts, we're going to run right into that pretty quickly unless we build it in on the front end.
Yeah, so the benefits of those contracts, when you talk about traditional full requirements, you are basically transferring the risk of supplying your load to someone else. And they plan ahead. They hedge against that future need on their books, and they take care of you essentially. And anything abnormal, then you guys need to negotiate how that triggers a conversation. However, approaching these conversations, you can negotiate carve-out provisions. You just need to know ahead of time roughly what you want those amounts to be, so that you enter the negotiations with that concept.
Because they need to build the hedge into who they're buying power from.
Sure, that's right.
That they may not fully take advantage of a contract they're signing, so.
Yep. But the more you can, we want to keep our options open. They would like us to be nailed down. You work somewhere between there, but the more you can know in advance, as far in advance. If we knew, oh, we want to do 20 megawatts and we want to have it online by a date certain, then we could just carve that into the deal and go from there.
So if the city is wanting to move on something like this, the clock's ticking on understanding what they're wanting to do.
Yes, it sounds like there's some movement on a project. There's desire to do more. I think the way that we're currently illustrating the draft RFP, we have those renewable targets. So the suppliers are going to gain a sense that you guys are interested in potentially incorporating renewables. And so I don't think that we have to necessarily broadcast it in the RFP document, but as we move and transition to negotiations,
period, yes.
that's when we need to be firm about what we'd like to see out of a contract.
And I just want to be clear. I'm saying the city and NRAIL, specifically the city, and we obviously. Well, I'm just making the point. The city's explored this on their own, and we have tried to assist them with data and land opportunities and stuff like that. But it's something they're exploring. So that's all I'm asking.
And I think the key that comes up with the city, and we've had some very brief conversations, but it's certainly worthy once we start seeing proposals, is the city and the plant board. We had a resolution that Catherine sponsored even before the city adopted theirs about renewables, is if we go with renewables, a higher percentage, then I think the question comes, does it have to be located in Franklin County? Can it be located somewhere in Kentucky? Or if who we're buying power from has a portfolio that has a lot of renewables in it, can the city step back and say, you know what, that's good? Because then it comes down to pricing. And the city and the county just spent a considerable time and effort, and they had the Gartner Group come in here looking at everything the city needed to do, strategic plan. And certainly the city wants the renewables. They also want the best rates they can get to attract industrial companies. So there's gives and takes. And if you can get 15% cheaper energy, but the renewable is located in an adjoining state, does that count? Is that good? Or does it have to be? I mean, so that's all part of that dialogue that has to take place.
I think John's
decision.
I don't want to put words in John's mouth, but I think he's saying thank you
Yeah.
for coming and helping us navigate through this, because it is extremely complex.
Right.
So the self-supply products, we are kind of in the driver's seat. Hans is going to become an expert on energy procurement, and he'll take care of it all for us, right?
Purchasing a mix of products from different, capacity and energy are separated now, and so, and then putting it together to serve the load.
But we might have to put like a data center, like a monitor, actually watching price points and shifting around, or it's a little more automated than that.
It's a little more automated than that, and you can outsource those things.
Okay.
And see, that goes, I think, to where the competitive negotiation process really works well. Is say you get a proposal and you really like it, and you say, I'd really like 5% more renewables. What would that pricing look? I mean, you can, in that process, you're not locked in, because if you're in a regular sealed bidding, then you're starting all over. You can't change the terms and conditions and all of a sudden go different. Competitive negotiation allows you to step back, tell the proposals, after I've read everything, I've looked at it, I think we'd like to maybe look at this, and you can send them back to the drawing board. So,
We have plenty of clients that are the size of Frankfurt or smaller that have portfolio and they don't have a 24-hour staff of people watching the power. It's-
Awesome.
Okay, next slide. All right, so the RFP outline of products that I alluded to is here on slide 4. The way that we've drafted the RFP document is to state our preferred product at this point based on the feedback, which is a full requirements agreement. And we are looking for those types of products, contract, within not only the LGEKU territory, but also sourced from MISO potentially. There have been updates on the depancaking here recently, and so we'll need to monitor that as the RFP process develops. What that means is potential risk or cost exposure down the line, depending on how that process works itself out. So we'll keep an eye on that. But full requirements, preferred proposal type, with the optional incorporation of the renewable targets that we illustrated in an earlier slide. We will accept other products as part of the process, and so we describe what those are. We're looking for capacity and energy products within the KU territory or MISO Zone 6 or 7 nearby. And then we will also accept solar PPA offers, power purchase agreement offers, to see if we can get a pulse of what some of those projects, those standalone projects might look like, and perhaps uncover if anyone has thought about something locally that we're unaware of, and just need a buyer to perhaps push that forward. So it's just meant to uncover potentially anything out there. And then this last tranche of products where if anyone has anything else that's not necessarily conforming to what we've described thus far in the RFP, that they can submit it. We just ask that those types of products be submitted with some sort of indicative price and not be nebulous in nature. Okay, next slide.
This is our proposed timeline, so we're working on the RFP now. The plan is to have the RFP in the market in October, and receiving proposals in January, so giving a few months for the bidders to put this together. And then the idea is to work through all of this and through the negotiation process with hopes to have partner selected, contracts executed hopefully in June of next year, which will give us a full 3 years still in advance of when the supply needs to kick in. So that still gives us plenty of time to maneuver should we need to.
and I think we've talked a little about it as a board, and there's nothing really that we need to lock in or define tonight, but through this process, once we get into this process, I think we had a general discussion that we want to build a way in for the public to have input and some comments at some point in the process. When that is, I think we won't really know till we get something on the street, because we could put an RFP on the street and get nothing, or come back and get proposals. We say, we got nothing here we like. We got to start all over. Or we might see something, we say, this looks good. I mean, we're just going to have to kind of play it as we go. But I think there will be a lot of interest in this community about what we're doing from both the elected officials and other people in the community. And I think we'll have to build in a way to solicit that input and give people the opportunity kind of as we get into it, which again, the competitive negotiation gives us a lot of opportunities. We couldn't necessarily take someone's proposal and just put it out there because there's some proprietary information. But certainly we'll be in a position to start seeing just what are some of the options and what kind of things do we need to get some community input on. And I don't think we're going to know till it's one of those things, we're not gonna know it till we see it. And I think when you described it before, I used to work for a cabinet secretary named Grady Stumbo, and he made the comment one time that we need to think a thought that's never been thunk. And I think that's kind of where we are. We're not gonna know what we got till we see something.
That's right.
Ms. Cuban,
Yes, sir.
actually, you look at Owensboro process, right? They need a solution by 2027. So right now it's in the 2 year, little less than 2 year ahead of time. But for us, if you look at the timeline, if we do finish the next June, we still have a 3 year ahead of a 2029. So if in case the case you just talked about, we still got a time to go back, have a process.
John?
I have two questions. Number one, you mentioned MISO Zone 6 and 7. That's, I'm assuming, Indiana and Illinois, or Indiana and Michigan? Or is it that part of the zone?
Yeah, zone 6 is adjacent.
Okay.
And so if we source a resource from there, and acknowledging we'd have to match it with point-to-point service.
Right, sure.
For the reimbursement.
Right.
Yes, I mean, that's the closest zone.
Right.
Zone 7 typically follows and is the next closest zone. So we've put it as a potential, although when we go to score the proposals, I mean, that'll factor into the
and the other question Gary brought up, the 3 years out, are we, and I'm not an expert in this, but can we get a price 3 years out that people are gonna be, willing to give us? I mean, how much juice are we gonna pay, not to use a bad pun, for locking something in 3 years out rather than 18 months out, or, when you know what the market is?
Well, it's
And I know there's a trade-off.
yeah, I mean, if we were contracting now, it would be way out,
Right.
So we're trying to find that happy medium. It's not taking it right up to the end
Right.
where stuff falls apart, and then now
Right.
what do we do? So we're trying to, but we can also watch, when we get into June, we can watch prices and see what happens, because these prices, can move every day.
But doing it now does give us some leeway if
And we
June
have some
26
transmission
turns out to
stuff
be a
to
bad
figure
time.
out here.
Oh, yeah. We got a lot of transmission stuff to figure out.
Am I mistaken? It's kind of like buying airline tickets. I mean, they
Right.
want to make sure they're going to fill the plane, but then the last seats are going to go up higher and higher because they have base capacity they want to lock down. So is there an advantage to hitting that sweet spot of a bit earlier because they do want to move it? They don't want to get too close to the line either because they're concerned they may have extra capacity they can't, or how's that work?
There is, but it's, market timing is very difficult. We're just going with sort of, at this point, sort of a gut feel between the two of us, Gary, Travis, and what do we think? Because, if we could lock it all down 2 years ago, great, but we would have paid a lot of premium. And you never know, you pay a lot of premium, you get a fixed price, and then the power market goes crazy, and you, boy, I'm glad I did that. Goes the other way. So we're just trying to find a happy medium. There is no
One part, actually, particularly, John, you asked a question, timing, right, is the market always, to me, it sounds like everyone know the price in 3 years. After that, they don't. But that's the most talk about energy part.
Right.
I think the capacity market today is completely restored, correct me? It's because of AI, because everything else pertains, so the capacity appears the shortage in the MISO and PJM, which is based on NERC study. All of them is on the red, pretty much. So in that perspective, I think early is better for capacity. But for the energy, I think is better close to. That's just my 2 cents. But I can't speak. They are the real expert. Yes.
Right.
Well, and I guess
And
one
we can
question-
upgrade Jason to first class, you know, in 28 or whatever.
And then one question I guess I haven't heard the answer to at all is, how long of a contract are we signing? I know natural gas contracts can be like 3 years.
Great question. Yeah, I was going to go there next. So it's an art, not a science, to time some of this market environment. The self-supply has a benefit of you can roll products or services over different time horizons and dollar cost average, for lack of a better word. So there are some benefits to that approach, but yes, we'll see different firmness of prices looking at 2029, and what we're contemplating in the RFP is 2029 plus 3 to 5 years for full requirements proposal, recognizing that's a difficult horizon given the backdrop of the changing legislation, that we would expect anybody who's going to lock in power for you that far in advance and for that long of a horizon, it's going to be at a premium.
It's starting to be 8 years. So
Yeah.
it is 8 years.
Okay. Well, thank you. You guys, I think, for me, you've given us a great lay of the land where we're headed, and looking forward to exploring it with you guys.
Well, I think the direction we gave them, well, several months ago, even before that, was we wanted to see as much as we could. We wanted to see what was out there and what the options were, and that we weren't locked into a particular approach, that we needed as much information we have to start making some decisions. And doing it with that little extra time built in there gives us the ability that if in January or February we say, we're just not getting what we want, then we can drop back and say, let's try this a different way, and we don't even know what that is yet, so.
That's right. We have to.
Yeah.
Thought we hadn't thumped yet, or something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
Okay, any other?
Thank you.
So what would?
When do you think do you think we'll have an RFP to look at? Maybe September or October?
So September potentially.
Definitely
We need
October,
at least one more internal meeting on the most recent draft.
But soon.
Okay.
And then soon.
Yeah, not late September.
Right.
Fairly soon.
And then you all will put together a bidder list as broad and along with us in terms of as many bidders as you think
Oh, yeah.
we need to attract.
We do these all the time, and so we know all the players out
Yeah.
there.
And we
anybody
want,
can
we
help
want
them.
as many providers, as many bids as we can look at. I mean, because it's important. I mean. So.
Oh, wait, no.
The one thing I want to update, they already spent a lot of time preparing this RFP, and particularly successful Owensboro in just ahead of us. So there are a lot of things we don't have to relearn that. But they do spend a lot of time. Travis, Hans also spend a lot of time on that. In my opinion, we are very close to have a RFP ready, at least, let's send to you, help us to review it, and we can ready to send out.
I want to give a shout out because Gary and I saw the Owensboro people maybe, a month ago, Gary? And they've been just, they've been very gracious. Anything we need, anything we want to see, their RFPs, anything they did, they've just said, whatever you need from us, you can have. So, they've really been good about helping us.
They move us 50 miles closer to the Ohio River.
Yeah. I told their chairman, I said, I just need that big cord, buddy. Just hook up in. So, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for everything. You all have done great work for us over the years, so thank you. Okay, item 6.4. Do we need to adopt or do?
No.
Hans?
Could I get a motion?
No.
A motion to utilize the competitive negotiation procedures.
Yeah, because that needs to be built into the design of the RFP.
For the reasons specified in agenda item 6.3.
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Yeah, thank you. Item 6.4, consider electric contract approval for Copperleaf Phase 2 and Phase 3 development. Travis.
Yep. So I'm sure as many of you remember, about a year ago, we had several conversations about economic development and what can the planning board do to kind of help growth within our footprint. And so what those conversations kind of led to is the board reinstated refunds for electric developments, or not so much electric developments, but refunds on new electric extensions for new developments in our area. So we've got one on the horizon that would fit that outline. Copperleaf 2 and 3 is getting ready to commence. So we have for the board this evening a draft of what that contract would look like. Just a few of the particulars. Like any other development, the developer would have to pay the full estimated cost in advance. So we're not putting funds out there that we haven't already received. The policy is based on a fixed refund per customer over a 5-year window. So if they sell 50 homes, they get a fixed refund for each of those 50 homes within that 5-year window. And the amount is set at $2,004.60. And the way we came up with that number, if you look at that 5 years of electric sales, the bulk of that, of course, as we've talked about, goes out the door. That's not a benefit to the plant board. So we tried to drive a formula that actually accounts for the net benefit to the board of those new customers. So that's where that $2,000 per customer comes from. So again, the developer will pay in advance. We'll build the infrastructure. As they sell homes and we get new electric services, they can apply for that refund for each new home.
It is a tariff that we've already adopted. As you remember, some time ago when we talked about this, the developers came to us and basically said other utilities did this and that this policy would be an incentive to build more housing, do more things here in Frankfurt. And we talked about it a lot, and the idea that we didn't want to get caught out there and have spent money to install things and then the subdivision not be built. And then we were out. So this basically, as Travis said, we get the funds up front. If the subdivision happens, we rebate it some because we're going to be getting new electric customers and new usage. If it never happens, there's no refund. John?
2 questions. Number one, Travis, I want to make sure I heard you right. As these lots get filled, as these homes get sold, as these people hook up, it's not a lump sum where they end at a certain time. They can, I've got 3 more, and I've got 4 more, and I've got 5 more. They can do it on a piecemeal basis, correct? The developer.
Correct. They don't have to come at the end and say, oh, I've got them all ready, or all at the beginning, or any particular process.
And what do we say? 5 years from the date of the installation. Is that what we put down there?
Yeah, we can look through in my head, it's 5 years from the execution of the contract.
From the execution of the contract.
When we, if this is approved, we'll send this out with an estimate letter to the developer and say, okay, here's your cost. Here's also a contract for your review. So they'll kind of be executed in parallel.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Any other questions? If not, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion's adopted. Thanks, Travis.
Thank you.
Next one is consider approval of transmission data center rate study with 1898 and Company. And now I guess this is kind of a preemptive type thing. Is obviously you all know the data centers. You hear them being talked about various places in Kentucky. Jefferson County's currently got one talking about a 400 megawatt data center in Jefferson County. It was rejected in Oldham. Or I don't know if it's the same company, but a similar proposal. But this, I think Travis and Gary have brought this in, that if someone would come to Frankfurt trying to get a handle on what it might look like from rates. So,
yeah, exactly. I think you hit the main points there. The other thing we wanted to consider as part of this study are financial protections to the board, to our other ratepayers. We don't want to find ourselves in a situation where we've had to pay a lot of cost to extend infrastructure. Some reason the data center doesn't go, and then our ratepayers are kind of stuck in that instance. So asked them to kind of help us explore how do those financial protections work. And they've obviously, you can't pick up a industry magazine without hearing about data centers. So they've worked through several of these. And as you mentioned, developing a rate, they'll look specifically at these type of customers, how large they are, their load factor, and help us determine an appropriate rate. We're asking the board to award this to 1898 and Company. We did not do an RFP, and the thought behind that was they just did our cost of service study. All the data is fresh with 1898 and Company. They can kind of pick up and run with it. So we think it makes sense to partner with them on this project if approved.
and I just point out the one in Jefferson County was 400 megawatts, which is like 2.5 times our total load. It's bigger than total of KYMEA by over 100 megawatts. So I mean, these are huge power. I mean, they're
our GDS friends have shared stories with me of Some of these moving in, they're order of magnitude larger than the city load. So they can kind of turn the financials upside down for, hopefully for better, of course.
But if someone came in and wanted that kind of power, we can't just provide that much power overnight either. I mean, it would take some work on some equipment, some ordering, some lead time. So, I mean, there'd be a lot going into it. We could respond, but we kind of need to know where we're at on this.
Correct, exactly. I think this kind of doing our homework in advance helps those conversations progress. But yeah, it would depend a lot on what, the prospective customer needs. Are they 100 megawatt? Are they 50? Those are all different conversations, but I think this kind of helps us lead into that a little more informed.
David, how many bottles of champagne are we popping if we get a data center?
No, I think it's a much needed thing.
Yeah.
We need growth in this area for sure.
Yeah.
They need a lot of electricity, need to sell a lot of water,
Yeah.
and they need to have cable. They need to have internet.
Yes.
So,
More people come stay.
that's right.
But AI, I think, likes to watch sports channels.
Yes.
So it needs something to do in its downtime.
So do we have a motion on this study?
So moved.
We have a second. Second. We have a motion, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thanks. And thanks for bringing this, Travis.
Yep,
This-
appreciate it.
Consider approval of change order number 1 for filter valve replacement project in the amount of $45,660 to Harry Company. Brandon.
Yes, so the filter valve project is wrapping up. So it was determined during construction that there were support posts that were put in originally under some 45-degree fittings, so that there's one per filter. The original support posts were anchored to the floor and grouted in, but the supports were not attached to anything. They were just kind of put up there in place. So in this change order, a new post and support will be fabricated and physically attached to the flange of the fitting to provide better support.
Okay.
The change order includes a scheduled extension. Herrick has requested to extend the final completion date from August 14th to November the 1st. The scheduled extension will not impact daily operations. Water treatment plant staff recommend awarding change order number 1 to Herrick Company in the amount of $45,660. The current budget includes contingency to cover the additional cost.
Okay. Any questions to Brandon?
I'll make a motion to approve change order number 1 for this project.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion is adopted. Next one, item 6.7, consider approval of change order number 1 for the filter valve replacement project in the amount of $5,000 to the Kentucky Engineering Group. Brandon?
Additional engineering services were required to design the new support posts for the 8 30-inch 45-degree fittings adjacent to the backwash valves at the water treatment plant. The additional work included consulting with a structural engineer and the contractor to design a support system for all the 8 fittings. The new post and support will be fabricated and physically attached to the flange of the fitting to provide their support. FPB Water Treatment Plant staff recommends awarding change order number 1 to Kentucky Engineering Group in the amount of $5,000. This is also in the current budget includes contingency for this also.
Any questions to Brandon? Okay, if not, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Approved. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next one is item 6.8, agreement between Frankfurt Plant Board and City of Frankfurt Sewer Department. We currently have an office downtown that we have some equipment in, and we have vacant space there, and the City Sewer Department would like to utilize that space. And you all have seen the agreement. Gary has talked to the city manager, he's talked to the sewer department, and come up with an agreement that they would pay us an amount per month, and anything they have to spend or to get it up to speed for them would get deducted from it. I mean, we don't use the space. It seems like a fair agreement for the city. The sewer department needs it. They do not want to buy the building. They don't need it permanently. They need it on a short-term basis. So this lets them utilize a building that's close to City Hall that we've got space in. It gives us some reimbursement, and we don't have to spend any money fitting it up for them. Is that fair, Adam?
Yes, sir.
And Gary's worked on it, and he's talked to the city manager, and I think the city feels comfortable with it, and this meets their need. And like I said, we don't have any, That space has been vacant for,
Since this building, 2016, I guess.
yeah. Any questions of Adam or Gary on?
Mr. Chairman, for this order, I'll make a motion to approve the rental agreement between FPB and the City of Frankfurt Sewer Department for the property at 220 Steel Street.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Contract's awarded. Thank you. Or approved. Consider item 6.9, consider approving Disney Media and Entertainment Networks NCT affiliation agreement. Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Cable Advisory Committee and staff recommend approval of the Disney Media and Entertainment Networks affiliation agreement. This is an NCTC agreement with a term through July 31st of 2020, or 2030 rather. It contains renewals of 9 networks on classic cable, including ESPN, ACC, SEC Network, and Disney, as well as 6 channels on the optional preferred cable. It also renews our rights for ABC TV Everywhere and ESPN3. There are no additional launches required through the term of the agreement. The rate impact on this renewal is below our budgeted projections. No new distribution obligations. As far as new rights included, we will have the ability to authenticate our cable customers on the new ESPN Unlimited package, which is their direct-to-consumer package, so our customers will get access to that same content. Additional rights that are not finalized but in discussions are Disney Plus and Hulu rights, where we would be able to resell those services to our customers like some other larger cable operators do. So it's harder for the co-op to do that because we're all so different. They really need a platform in place before they can acquire those rights, but ESPN's committed to bringing those to us. So more to come on that in the coming months.
And this is no rate increase for our customers either, is that correct?
No, I mean, certainly not in the near term.
Right.
We have our annual increase in the spring, and
I believe
this
the key word is
Yeah.
the increases were in line with budgeted
Yeah.
projections.
below budgeted projections.
Below budgeted
Yes.
projections, yeah.
So yeah, this is, and I think honestly, from a financial standpoint, they did a really good job, and for as much as there is in this agreement, I think we did pretty well. So
Well, as much as I hate to recognize another cable operator, was it Comcast last year?
Charter did a lot of work.
Charter did a lot of dirty work for us by taking a bullet and taking ESPN off their. It was 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep.
Right at the start of football season, and they took a lot of heat, and I think that was kind of tempered ESPN's.
Well, it just changed the landscape for what was expected. So
not quite as voracious an appetite.
Yeah.
So
happy to answer any other questions.
Do you have any questions for Harvey? Okay. If not, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Contracts awarded. Thank you, sir. Item 6.10, consider changes to FPB's health plan. Michelle.
Good evening, Board Chair and members of the board. The Frankfurt Plant Board Health Plan uses Cigna Network for our medical claims pricing. Recently, the University of Kentucky Hospital and its affiliate providers were unable to reach a contract agreement with Cigna, and they are no longer participating in the Cigna Network. At April's board meeting, the board approved a temporary solution allowing our third-party administrator, MedBen, to continue to process our claims as in-network. So to this date, no agreement has been reached between Cigna and the University of Kentucky. Our health plan broker, Cheryl Morgan, has recommended continuing to have MedBen process the UK health claims and their related claims in-network. UK has confirmed it would continue to see our patients and members on an out-of-network basis, and our stop-loss carrier has also approved this process. A memo from Cheryl Morgan outlining the recommendation is listed in the detailed pages. Staff asked the board to approve the recommendation from Cheryl Morgan to continue until the end of the year, which is December 31st, 2025, and that's the end of our health plan year. to process claims as in-network with UK and its affiliate providers.
Are Cigna and UK still talking, or is it just totally?
It's, as far as I know, just based on information from our broker, they have stopped negotiating. So it's a done deal.
And we
for
have a number
this.
of employees that use UK services?
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Michelle, how's this gonna affect when we go shopping for a plan next year? Are we gonna have to look to someone else, or are we gonna have to change what we do in terms of who we find? You know, will we be able to use any network, or do we need to start making some changes that way?
There are going to be a couple of recommendations when we have our mid-year review, and one of the things that our broker has pushed previously is the reference-based pricing. And so for them, this kind of is the reasoning why we need to go to that model.
Right.
Yep. So that is most definitely that is one of the recommendations that will be on the agenda for us to discuss. The HR staff met with an individual that explained the reference-based pricing, but before the mid-year review, we wanted to try to get some references and see and talk to other companies that have utilized that.
Because this is the second time in the last few years this has happened with Baptist. Did it happen with Baptist?
Yes.
Before, and they finally figured that out, and you know, now it's happening with UK, and I just think it's going to happen more and more with
Right.
different providers. So
Yeah, and
that's
it's
good.
according to our broker, it's not just Cigna, it's other networks as
Right.
well, as they're trying to come to negotiations about pricing and just how they want things covered. So, yes,
Okay.
it's becoming the norm, I guess.
Sounds good.
Any other questions for Michelle? So basically, this is just
I make
continuing.
a motion to approve the change in the health plan to allow services in the UK be treated on an in-network basis.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Continue on.
Thank you.
Item 6.1, 6.11 and 6.12 with the board's indulgence to pass over, and Gary's gonna do a little more work on those, and then we may revisit these next month. Item number 7, general manager comments.
No, I don't have any. Thank you.
Anybody on item number 8, any old or new business? Okay. Item number 9, permission to have chair call for closed session. Mr. Snyder.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to conduct a closed session pursuant to QRS 61-810-1C to discuss pending litigation regarding a contract matter as well as a Federal Energy Regulatory Commission matter.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We're going into closed session. Come back in, say, 5 minutes. closed session?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion second. All those in favor of coming out of closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Mr. Snyder?
Mr. Chairman, no board action is necessary due to the discussions in closed session.
With
And
that said,
I would make a motion, we adjourn.
we have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.